Ideas are nothing of themselves, okay, unless you have any form of execution. So loads of people will come to me and say they've got an idea, and the first thing you need to do before you go full headlong into creating what we would call a side hustle, it's not a word I'm a great fan of, but it's the word that sort of sticks, is you need to understand whether or not there's potentially a market for this. So most people will come up with an idea based on what they think the market may want, based on what they think they would want. And actually, one of the key things is to remember that when you're in business, it's not about you providing a product or service that you want, it's about providing a product or service that other people will want to buy. So I always say to people that you want to sort of think in slightly like IT terms, in the concept of a beta phase. So what you really want to do is, and again, for those who know sort of IT will know that when you create a new app or you create a new website or something, you go into what's known as a beta phase, which is where you craft something that's a bit rough and ready that can be tested and measured to see whether or not actually you've quite got it right. You're getting lots and lots of feedback from people before you go into a proper launch. And what I'd be saying to people who are in that situation is that you want to see your business idea as a beta phase. Get something out there really quickly to market. It doesn't matter that it's not perfect. It doesn't matter that it may not make you a great deal of money to begin with. That the whole purpose of a beta phase is not to make you lots of money. Okay. Most people will think, I've got an idea, how do I translate that into loads of money? It doesn't work like that. Okay. If you've got an idea, what you really want to do is create something that is enough to get out to the potential sort of people that you want to hear from. The reality is that if you want to build a bit of a buzz and a bit of a vibe around something, you need to go out to your potential target market and say, can you try this for me? You know, this is what we're doing, this is what we're aiming to try and achieve, and I want you to test it. And we basically call that like an ideas lab. So you might take a load of people that are people that you would value or you know, who have had some experience in something similar, or that they serve the same sort of customer as you. Different product maybe, but similar customer market. And you want them to try and test your product or service and to give you feedback first. And they will tell you right down to things like the look and the feel, the colour, the layout, the design. But then the next part of that beta phase is for you to try and sell. So for example, if you've got a product or service that's mostly online, that's going to be you know, run through a website or an e-commerce site or something like that, just get it up there and sell it and see how it flies and see how many people register an interest, see how many people are prepared to buy it. Obviously you can take advice from people on the principle of A and B marketing, so maybe you have like two different messages, same content, same product or service, but you try two different sets of copy, or you know, buy this and try this and so on, and then you've got a different type of message in another one. See which one clicks best and which one people respond to best. But don't underestimate the time that you need to take in testing something. Every time you're testing, you're getting real feedback from people. So people are actually giving you useful advice as a potential customer. When you go into the second stage of beta testing, you are actually asking for people to then part with money. And trust that the fact that your product isn't quite perfect doesn't matter. Most people that are early adopters of a business or a product or service quite like the fact that they are in the very first product. If you talk about the history of the iPhone, for example, early adopters to the iPhone, the very first iPhones, were full of bugs and glitches. But it didn't stop people buying the iPhone and then buying the next iteration of iPhone that came out. If Apple had waited to create a perfect iPhone before going to market, they probably wouldn't have the position and the product that they do now. So for me, to make that jump from idea to a business, you actually need to have a really strong testing phase in the middle. And that testing phase, firstly, is send it out, get feedback, feedback from people who operate in a similar market. And then the second part of that process is actually testing by trying to sell it. And see what comes back, see what levels of interest you get, see why people will buy it and why people won't buy it. And from that test and measuring, you can then change the product and then start the process, which is the second bit of creating, in effect, the side hustle.